This is a piece by a guy named Larry Taunton.
Larry who? Never heard of her.
What sort of a man is he?
Pick from Bama.
A man like any other, but more so.
Well, I thought he was dead.
This is the Larry Alex Taunton Show. Let's light this candle.
Welcome into the Larry Alex Taunton Show. I am Amy Beth Shaver here with Larry Alex Taunton. Sir, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm glad that it's the season.
'Tis the season to be
jolly.
And I'm jolly. Are you jolly?
I'm very jolly. I'm especially jolly after the lunch your wife made us. But I'm very jolly and happy.
The things she produces in that break room are amazing.
I mean, we probably have the best break room ever. You know, with the comfiest seats
today we
and
had,
the best TV.
Today we had enchiladas, and
they were fabulous.
They were spot on, and I did enjoy that. Enjoyed the conversation, and we've got some chilly Christmas weather. So yeah, so I'm ready to go today.
All right, so here's the first question. When do you remember, or when do you first remember Christmas? Like, were you 5, 6? Like, what's that age where you thought, I know this?
You know, but probably my memory is the result of seeing family photos. You know, like, in other words, I can remember the events in the photos. But probably when we lived at Fort Gordon, which is Augusta, Georgia, when I was a wee lad of probably about 4. A wee lad, just a wee lad of 4. And I remember my dad sitting behind me, holding my hands, and we're playing Rock'em Sock'em Robots against my brother.
My word.
I loved Rock'em
Chris Shaver,
Sock'em
do you hear this?
Robots.
He loved those.
Well, I have a Rock'em Sock'em Robot on my desk. I went and bought Rock'em Sock'em Robots just so I could pull the robots off and use, because I love Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They are one of the best. You know, some of those old games, this may be going a different direction than you meant to go, and I'm just so sorry. But some of those old games that are pre-electronics, like there was I bet Chris Shaver had this one. There was this football thing. It was a football field and it was metal.
Absolutely.
And you would turn it on. Producer Matt is nodding. You turn it on and it'd vibrate. Your players would move. They didn't always move the right direction. And then I think of air hockey. I loved air hockey.
Oh my
Foosball.
goodness, yes.
Those are great. And kids today, they're absolutely clueless on these things. But anyway, I remember Rock'em Sock'em Robots. How about you?
Well, I remember about the same age, about 4 or 5. We were in Ohio. My grandparents lived there. And he was, I was at the beginning and they were at the end of having kids. And so he was still in high school and he took me down to see the tree before anybody was supposed to be up. And he said, close your eyes, don't look at the Santa Claus gifts, but I'll take you to look at the tree. And I remember thinking, he's a cool dude for taking me downstairs. And this is actually my uncle.
Oh, your uncle.
And so, yes, let me say that my grandparents' only boy, there were 2 more after him, but their only boy, and he did cool things like that because that's what uncles do. They do cool things.
Yes. And
so I was probably like 5 or 6, and that was also the year I do recall, and I'm seeing a cousin of mine in a few weeks, and she can tell me if this is true, where it snowed. And we would come up from Alabama, and so to see the snow was magical.
That's cool.
And so that was pretty neat. But the games that I remember are probably just basically girl games like Candyland.
Yeah.
Which we played a lot of because we have our own girls.
Vast skill.
I mean, you really have to be sharp to play that game. But Candyland, but also my dad had us play chess even from the time we were little.
Yeah, look at you trying to balance that out now.
I want to let you know there is something there.
Amy Beth, Grandmaster.
Yeah. I hated it, but it was fun because the chess table was beautiful. And then, we'd play outdoor games. We'd play a lot of soccer, but not necessarily board games. But I do remember Candyland because who doesn't? It's beautiful. It's pink.
Well, I think of our two memories, mine's better.
Yeah, you know what? It probably is.
Because I played Rock'em Sock'em Robots while you were playing Candyland.
Well, Candyland, and how about Barbies? Like you didn't get to play with Barbies.
Well,
we got to play with Barbies.
I have some very good Barbie memories, actually, and you'll love this. A buddy and I, we were big into BB guns.
Oh, gosh.
And we would set up all the Barbies and things like that we could find at a distance. And we'd have the equal number. We'd divide them. And I would set mine up and he would set his up and we would shoot at each other's. And whoever had the last Barbie standing, won.
Sure.
But we put a lot of holes in Ken, a lot of holes in Barbie. And
how did you get the Barbies?
well, there was some subterfuge, involved in that. I didn't have a sister, at least I didn't have a little sister.
Okay.
He had two sisters.
Okay.
And so he would manage to find those Barbies. Frankly, I have no idea where he got them, but we had more fun shooting those Barbies. And we would use the little plastic army men.
Oh, for sure.
Which required more skill because they were much smaller. And we would set them up all over, just dozens of them, and then shoot them. And it was so much fun.
Oh, my word.
Today, kids would, I guess, probably go to jail for that. But
probably, but it's what
great.
you did. I mean, I remember when my brother got a BB gun and I said, well, let me shoot it. And I didn't know that even that little thing would kick. And I was like, I think I'm done with this.
Really?
But I understand that young men enjoy the gun and shooting at things.
We enjoy
this
violence.
Is fantastic. I mean,
it's
absolutely.
in our nature.
Well, we're playing with Play-Doh. You guys are out there blowing things up. Squirrels, acorns, pine cones.
This is what we did.
This is what
pine
you
cone
do.
battles. We had vicious pine cone battles.
This is what you do. I wanted no part of that.
And we had BB gun battles. And to see this is the kind of, listen, first of all, we should say, people who are tuning in and are saying, this is a name conversation.
It's about
Today
Christmas.
is our Christmas show.
It's about Christmas and
we're
our
gonna
first
get to some
memories.
Other things,
yes.
But the topic of BB guns and BB gun battles and pine cone battles is actually important because I believe that America's males today are in this sexual identity crisis because they've never been shot with BB guns and they never were hit with a fresh, by the way. There's a difference between the ones that have fanned out, pine cones.
Yes.
Which when you throw them, they're like a little bit of a wiffle ball.
They don't really hurt.
Versus the ones that are like throwing a rock.
Yeah.
We would get trash can lids and, this sort of thing. And then we would have our BB gun battles. We would wear, welders.
Sure.
Or, a saw, glass, we hit people in the eye. And we would shoot each other with BB guns. And you weren't allowed to use, this is so funny. You weren't allowed to shoot certain parts of the body, and you could not use pellet guns.
Oh.
Yeah, a pellet gun shoots a projectile that is pointed and will penetrate skin.
Ooh.
if it's pumped up enough. BB gun, you can sometimes see it come out of the end, and it kind of, it's not good. It's going to sting. You're going to know you've been hit, but it's not going to penetrate the skin. And anyway, so we chase each other around, shoot each other, and it was a blast. In fact, as I'm sitting here right now, I'm thinking I had such a Norman Rockwellian youth. If they had existed when Norman Rockwell, in the era that Norman Rockwell is largely depicting, which is often, Great Depression era, 1930s, 1940s. I don't know if BB guns existed then or not, but maybe they did. Ralphie wanted the Red Ryder BB gun, and that's set in what, the 50s?
Yes.
Yeah, A Christmas Story.
Did you know that they're having another Christmas Story movie?
I do, and what do you want to bet they sneak some kind of gay nonsense into it?
I hope not. I really hope not. But anyway, carry on. I remember the Red Ryder.
When
and
we were
it was
off air,
funny.
we were talking about, Hallmark movies.
Yes.
And I've heard that they're starting to put all that stuff in.
They are. It's disgusting.
It
like,
is.
please just have a movie. Like, just a
Just
regular
keep your agendas to yourself.
movie.
Yeah.
We will watch it. But we were watching some previews because, as I told you in the break, my husband brought Hallmark watch because he is a manly man and he is unafraid.
You felt the need to throw that in since you're now going to say he watched Hallmark romance movies.
Well, we have girls, and so they're sappy and ridiculous.
It's Chris Shaver. I have started watching them myself. I like them.
They're good movies, okay? I mean,
They're not going to offend you, and they're nostalgic.
They're nostalgic. Look,
Yeah.
are they going to win an Academy Award? Obviously not. But it's Christmas, and
Yeah.
this is what you do. You turn it on, you bake with your kids.
Well, while we're
you
talking
watch
about
football, then movies.
Christmas stuff, listen. So, there's always these people. There's somebody out there right now who is angrily typing up an email to fire it off to us or to NRB.
It's Larry Taunton
because they see Santa Claus in the background and they hear us talking about these things. We understand that Christmas is about the birth of Jesus Christ. We absolutely get that. And eventually we're going to get to our favorite Christmas carols. And I have strong opinions on Christmas carols. But by far my favorite is Nat King Cole's rendition of O Holy Night. Long lay the world in sin and error pining till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. How awesome are those lyrics? And so we know the reason for the season, and that Jesus Christ's birth, it gives us hope, particularly in a time and in a place where we're seeing so much corruption, immoral, political, you name it. We're witnessing it. We're seeing it across the Western world. And how hopeless I would feel if it weren't for what occurred on that, that Christmas day, that Jesus Christ was born and gave us all hope, because it is our only hope. So we understand that, we know that, and we celebrate it, and we enjoy all the trappings, of Christmas, traditionally speaking. I mean, don't you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think often the older I get, the more I appreciate Christ's birth. And I was very young when I decided surrendered my life to Christ. I was very young.
You're probably like Lori. What were you, like 3, 4?
I was 4.
Lori
and
was
I
4.
still remember
That is
praying
just
with
crazy
my
to me.
dad. I remember knowing and believing and stating
That's Lori.
that Noah and the ark, I was captivated by that story, was true. I understood that I was a sinner. The older I get, the more I appreciate how much of a sinner I am. But I have never known a time when I wasn't walking with Christ. And I've had people that, and let me reiterate what a sinner I am.
Yeah,
but people have
whatever.
often said, you're too young, you're so young. And I'm like, no, because I've had parents say, well, how can your kid know? And I'm like, when they know, they know.
Yeah.
And I remember kneeling beside my bed. I remember the crack in the door being open. I remember that, where I met the Lord. And I'm so thankful for that, because then you begin to consider the Christmas story. I've been pregnant at Christmas before, which makes it very special, because you think, how could you have been a teenage girl and have this baby in a world where you're not married to your husband, where you're rejected, you're alone, and here you have to go. And I've had a child naturally by accident in a barn or a cave, and you're expected to put that newborn child in a trough. And here's the light of the world filling up a cold stone trough with new life and new light. And that's astounding to me. And that's Christmas. And you're right. That's our hope. He is our hope. And that's what allows us then to be jovial around the holidays when the world has gone dark.
And to not be threatened.
That's
by
right.
the traditions that go with it. Matt, the producer over there, is choking on a Krispy Kreme donut or
jelly beans,
or some other sort of Christmas cookie over there. Either that or he's hitting the eggnog. Is it spiked today?
I think it may be.
Is that what's happened? But
who knows?
We're not threatened by the all the things that go along with Christmas. Again, and I'm speaking traditionally, that so many of these things have changed. When I think of, let's talk for just a minute about favorite Christmas movie. I want to talk about Christmas traditions.
Okay.
Yours growing up, mine growing up. But it's interesting, because when I think of favorite Christmas movies, I think of A Christmas Carol. That's a staple, in my house. And I used to read to the kids when they were little. I would read to them every year Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And I would read that to them, which of course, it's 19th century. And so the language sometimes needs some explaining, at least the first time or two that you read it to them, and helping them to understand some of the context there. But it's very interesting because you know what version I think is most faithful to the book?
Which one?
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I don't mean because of Rizzo and all that kind of
Right.
stuff, but I mean it begins first of all with the actual words. That Marley was dead as a doornail. That's straight out of the book. They don't gut it of its Christian significance, which many do. Many have turned them into a very the secular version. It's all materialistic. It's all about getting stuff. That Scrooge goes from being a miser to giving everybody lots of stuff. Well, the actual story is far more substantive than that. It's of course a very Christian story, and by that I mean in every way. It's a Christian story, and it isn't so much about stuff as it is forgiveness of debt, and it's forgiveness of. It's helping people, showing grace and mercy to people, whether it's Tiny Tim and helping him, because he's ill, or it's giving Bob Cratchit a raise in a better place, better circumstances that he's in. It's not so much about, giving the child a pony,
Right.
on Christmas Day. And I feel like A Muppet Christmas Carol is pretty faithful to that. Whereas most versions of A Christmas Carol gut it utterly of its Christian significance.
Yeah. I think that for our kids and the memories that I have of the books and the movies around that time, two things. They were in a private Christian school for a very long time. And so I remember two things that each child had to memorize. And it happened for several years in a row, Luke 2. So
Okay.
it was very precious
We
to
read
hear
the
them.
Christmas story every year, Luke 2,
the
yep.
Christmas story. So you hear their little tiny 5-year-old voices trying to recite it. And then as they grow older, they're still reciting it every year during December. And then they were all part of a sweet musical written by the she was the superintendent of the lower schools, Three Tall Trees. And so they remember that, and we remember those things because that's what was happening around our house at that time. And then Chris would read them, the night before Christmas. And he was probably upset when they stopped listening.
Yeah.
Because like you, he likes to read to them, and he read a good number of books to them over the years. But at Christmas time, those were the traditions and the things that we were a part of that still stick in my mind to this day.
Yeah, those are great. Those are so much fun. The kids look forward to them.
Yep.
They look forward to every night. We would start maybe December 1.
Yes.
Somewhere in there, and you're reading a stave, a
Yes,
chapter, as
yes.
they call them in that book. And then we have a certain set of movies that we trot out. And each year, most of them are old, that is to say, probably from my mother's era, maybe, things like It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
One that we've just added in the last 10 years it's called It Happened on Fifth Avenue.
Oh.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. It was Frank Capra was making it
Okay.
at the same time as It's a Wonderful Life, and they pulled him off of that to go to It's a Wonderful Life.
Really?
And then It Happened on Fifth Avenue, for whatever reason, these legal things we don't understand. That movie was apparently a fairly big hit, but for legal reasons, it was mothballed for like 60 years.
Really?
And it's either Netflix or Amazon Prime who, in about the last 10 years, has managed to get it out of
the
mothballs,
lockbox.
of a lockbox where no one could watch it. You couldn't get it. You couldn't watch it because
I would love it.
because of the rights. And now all of a sudden it's starting to gain in popularity as people are discovering it. But it's a fun little movie about an extremely wealthy man who lives for part of the year in, let's say, Manhattan, and then part of the year in let's say, Florida, and a hobo who moves into his house. When he goes to Florida, he lives in Manhattan and then swaps when he goes to the...
Oh, you're kidding? Okay.
And throughout the
I
movie, he's
love
doing
it.
that. And then kind of a sweet element to the story is he meets the daughter of this very wealthy man who never lets on she's the daughter. and that she's living in the house too. And so he thinks she's like him, and of course she's not. And but then more and more people start joining the house. But it's a sweet film. Very much of the era, I'd say the movie's like 1946, 47. It's dealing with issues of that time, which are soldiers coming home from the war and looking for work. And then another one that we absolutely love called Holiday Affair, which is Robert Mitchum. And this one we've added to the rotation about the last 10 years. Robert Mitchum, who I love, and Janet Leigh.
Oh.
The mother of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
Janet Leigh, one of Hollywood's, most beautiful women. And that movie is really powerfully dealing with an issue of that time, and that is war widows. She feels a loyalty to her husband who's killed in, D-Day or something like that. And she meets Robert Mitchum. And she has this, the struggle of, is she allowed to move on with her life or does she not? And Robert Mitchum plays a real likable alpha male character who refuses to kind of play the games that she's wanting to play. And it's all taking place at Christmas, and it's really well done. It's a sweet, sweet film, and we've enjoyed that. So yes, Holiday Affair. And it happened on 5th. What are some of your favorites?
So I have several. One is older that I've loved since I was a child, and that would be Holiday Inn.
Okay, I love Holiday Inn.
I absolutely
Bing
stop
Crosby.
all the things when
that's
Holiday
great.
Inn is on, and Chris finally recorded it for me so I can go back and watch it anytime.
Yep, we have it.
But things do come to a screeching halt. Like if I'm like, everybody, stop. I'm sitting down right now. I'm going to watch it. So good. So that would be one of my such
that's
a
a
good
great
movie.
If I
White
could
Christmas.
write a sonnet.
And then
That's what it is.
and then a newer movie. Well, there's two. One,
White Christmas I've never really gotten into.
I mean, it's
maybe because I don't
good.
like Danny Kaye and I know he's gay.
Well, look,
Or was.
I think Miracle on 34th.
Never really did much for me,
But I would say Holiday Inn, hands down, Bo, ta-da.
Yeah.
There's the movie on the platter. Now, I loved Annie, and it's a musical.
I've never seen it.
And it wraps at Christmas. And it was the first musical I was in, and I was in the 6th grade with Town and Gown, and I loved it. So I love that. And then when the kids came along, we started watching Home Alone on repeat on Christmas Eve. And it's a ridiculous movie.
How
I
can
recognize
you not
that.
like Home Alone?
But it is hilarious.
It is funny.
And so,
It is
I mean,
funny.
are there Home Alone 2,
It is very
3,
family
4, and
affirming.
5?
Very family
Very
affirming.
family affirming. But as you travel, as you have a large family, as we travel with our large family, you see how somebody could get left behind.
Oh, absolutely.
It could happen. When I was a child and we would travel with my mother's extended family, there's 30 of us.
Yeah. Oh,
and
wow.
it's huge. She's oldest
Wow.
of 6. And so many people would get on the plane and everybody's counting off their kids and their family and making sure the rows are. So that really hit home.
that could really happen.
with me.
I can see that.
So I
but it happened to
absolutely
him
love
like
that.
3 times, didn't it?
3 times. And then movie 4, 5, and there may be a 6.
Is there that many of them?
I don't know.
I didn't know that. I knew
love
there were
Home
3.
Alone. I love Home Alone 2. Home Alone 3, The kids think it's funny.
Yeah.
But I'll have to ask them now that they are older and more
Well,
erudite.
Bing Crosby is hard not to like.
It's hard not to
How
like.
How about let's see, a couple of other Christmas movies. How about The Bells of St. Mary? Have you ever seen that one?
I think I have seen The Bells of
That's-
Who's dark-headed lead?
Ingrid Bergman.
Yes.
The beautiful Ingrid Bergman and Bing Crosby in that one, and she has a disease. She's dying.
Yes, I have. I've seen that several times.
It takes place in a school, and he's the new priest who's brought in Bing Crosby, and he has the very tough job of having to move her out because she has to go to a warm climate and this kind of stuff, and she's very dedicated to the kids in this school. That's a very sweet film. I like that one.
That is very good. All right, you know what we need to do? We need to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hit desserts. The best. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is the Larry Alex Taunton Show.
Larry is my favorite player.
All right, welcome back. we neglected to talk about something that I don't know how you're going to feel. Are these or
Is it
aren't
about
these?
Rock'em Sock'em Robots? Because
It's
I'm
not
all
about
in.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots. This is to put a nice bow on our movie conversation. Are these or are they or aren't they Christmas movies? Okay.
We're going towards Die Hard here, aren't we?
Well, Die Hard. There's a Rocky at Christmas. There's a Lethal Weapon, which, by the way, Joe Pesci cracks me up. What do you think about that?
I am definitely on the side of Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
All right.
Because for it to be a Christmas movie, it doesn't, in my mind, doesn't just have to occur during Christmas. It has to be about Christmas in some way. And the movie isn't about Christmas. Now, I enjoy Die Hard. Probably like most of the men in this audience, I do. I've gotten a kick out of that film, but I vote no on Christmas movie. But I notice this comes up every year, and I'm sure the producer of that film and whoever owns the rights to it are thrilled to death by it, because I bet you there's a spike in viewership every year at this time.
Probably, and also with a spike in viewership with the James Bond on repeat around the holidays.
Yeah, well, those are fun to watch.
Those are just fun, but not necessarily holiday movies at all. I just know that they're on during the holiday
But do you
season.
think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
Well, if I'm taking the view that it's a movie that happens during the grit of Christmas and the realities of real life, possibly. Do they celebrate Christmas? No, they do not. Do they blow things up? And is it a fun movie? Yes, it is.
While they blow things up while there are Christmas trees in the background.
And I'm not sad about
and
that.
while there's somebody going, oh, the weather outside is frightful.
Oh my gosh, we almost left out you guys.
So delightful.
Oh, my kids would be so upset if I
I can keep singing and while you narrate.
Larry, what about Christmas Vacation?
Christmas Vacation. Why am I having a hard time remembering that? Oh, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase.
We almost left that out.
Yeah, we almost left that out.
Wow, that would have been bad.
Yes, Christmas Vacation.
Also ridiculous, but
Also ridiculous. Very secularized version of Christmas. But I put it on the periphery. This does not belong. It's in the courtyard of the Gentiles.
okay.
Let's put it there.
All right. Or as my children
It's on the
recently
outside
found out,
looking
you're
in.
saying there's a courtyard, the court of women in the temple? Yes. So that was a whole nother discussion. Anywho.
Favorite Christmas movie? Did you say that already?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just go back to the definitive. Holiday Inn is my, you lying liars who lie and you smell like beef and cheese. Elf. Do you hate Elf? You hate Elf. He hates it.
I hate Elf.
Our family
I
is
hate Elf.
divided.
But see, you must understand why.
Why?
Because I hate Will Ferrell.
Okay.
I do not think Will Ferrell is funny.
Yeah. Okay.
There's the very rare occasion where I've thought he is funny, but his shtick gets just a little bit old for me.
Yeah.
It's a little too Jerry Lewis-ish.
Yeah, it's
and I
shticky.
don't care for Jerry or Jim Carrey, and I definitely don't like Jim Carrey. But
He used to be funny. Jim Carrey used to be funny, by the way.
Bob Newhart is funny.
He is funny. I agree with
Bob
that.
Newhart is very funny.
The Bob Newhart Show?
Yes. And have you ever seen that little video, Stop It?
No.
I got to show you that when we're in a
Okay.
commercial break. It's one of
Okay.
the funniest things you'll ever see. But you go
Daryl
on
and
YouTube and
Daryl?
watch this. Type in Bob Newhart, Stop It.
Okay.
And you will find this. It's so very funny.
All right.
It's something he did, I think, on Mad TV. But it's funny. But I think the Christmas movies have got to be about Christmas, and that gets just too off. I don't know. I just found it too silly for me. But I gather you love it.
No, I don't necessarily love it. It took me once through to find out why people liked it, and then
Yeah.
I was like, "This is funny." And then about the
It is
15th
interesting. A lot of
time,
people do like it.
They do like it, and I think he says some funny things, but I think it gets pretty old pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I believe that it does have a cult following. I'm going to
It
stick
does,
with
weirdly.
Holiday Inn is my
I think
go-to
I
Christmas
think
movie.
It's a Wonderful Life has got to be.
Yes,
it was
it's
my
up there.
wife that introduced it. I'd never seen that in childhood. Never saw it. And Lori introduced me to that movie, and I've loved it, of course, ever
Yeah, it's
since.
a great
It's a
movie.
Wonderful Life is just a wonderful film.
George
And how
Bailey?
can you not like Donna Reed?
Yeah, she's great. She is great in that movie.
When I saw her in From Here to Eternity, and she plays kind of a sinister, jaded, it was upsetting for me. I was like, no, my Donna Reed can't be like that. I don't want to see her in that kind of role. But
there she is.
there she was. It just goes to show you what a good actress. What a good actress she was. But no, I loved her in Jimmy Stewart in that film, and some of the other characters in that film. You had to like it.
All right. So I don't want to introduce the next segment.
Okay, go. Let's hear it. You're going to introduce it.
But
so
I'm
do
going to
it.
introduce it because it's Christmas. It's a Christmas show, and I can.
Okay, what is it?
It's the ABS moment.
Okay, let's hear it.
So
We have to do this properly.
okay, all right.
ABS moment is your initials, your monogram, Amy Beth Shaver, which for me, anytime I see ABS, it's on my dashboard and it's automatic braking system. So what are you slamming the brakes on today?
It happened last night when we
Sounds
went
like a movie
somewhere.
right there.
It does about last night. There was and it was good. It was good. We went for dinner and dessert at a little burger shop, and it was delicious. And surprisingly, they gave so many toppings inside their little concrete thing. I don't even know what it is, but it's ice cream with mix-ins like cookie dough, or you can get like Oreos. Have you been? I'm just going to say the name of the restaurant, Culver's. They have these magical like scoops of deliciousness and they can put in there. Okay.
No.
All right.
Scooped into ice cream.
Into ice cream, mix it around.
kinda like
so it's
Dairy
really,
Queen.
it's like Dairy Queen, but better.
Okay.
But better. And so you need a spoon. You can't just have a straw. You got to have a spoon to get the cookies
Kind
or
of a
the Reese's
Blizzard
peanut
sort of
cup.
thing.
Yeah. But what about all the times through childhood? This is what has me triggered. Where you can go to other restaurants and they don't put, for example, at McDonald's, enough hot fudge on your hot fudge sundae. Or they don't put enough toppings in your ice cream. And they kind of rip you off a little bit. And maybe they're young and you don't know what to say to them because you're like, I just paid good money for that hot fudge sundae. And you barely put any fudge on it. Like barely any rings of hot fudge. Has that ever happened to you before? Do you like the hot fudge sundae?
You know, I have to say that probably like Chris Shaver, I've gone through life always getting extras on everything.
Yeah, you really have. This is
So
so irritating. This is unbelievably
I don't
irritating.
know that I've ever experienced that. They usually give me extra stuff.
So you're saying that the machine is never broken when you go to McDonald's to
Not
get
a
your hot
single
fudge
time in
sundae?
my life, not once. In fact, I was shocked when I heard that this was some kind
It's
of
a thing.
nationwide crisis.
It's a thing.
It's never happened to me. Although I have to say that McDonald's is not where I would go. See, I grew up in a town where there was a Dairy Queen, and we usually went to the Dairy Queen.
Well, of course
and there
you
was
did.
also a, what's it called, Tasty Freeze or
Tasty
something
Freeze.
like that.
Oh yeah, so you were near the Tasty Freeze.
Yeah, so I would go to a place like that, and when they saw me coming, they just throw on
Of
extras
course they
everything.
did. Of course they did. I mean, this is the way your life went, and we appreciate that so much. But for us regular people,
in fact, I always liked it because the hot fudge.
oh my gosh.
The way I always remember it is not the way you describe it at all. It's that there was pools of of hot fudge
Oh, sure.
in the little bowl.
Sure.
You know, so it would go off the top and then fill up kind of on the
this
sides.
is not
What does this have to do with Christmas? But I'm
desserts.
ready to eat it.
It has to do with desserts because we we associate. First of all, Jesus, A, number one. B,
I submit my requests.
B,
I don't make any of them.
movies, Christmas movies. And then C, and yes, I know I said 1, B, and C. C is going to be the dessert portion of Christmas because we have Christmas dinner, and however you celebrate that and whatever foods you serve it. That's great. But I'm waiting for dessert. And so we are swerving into the discussion of what are your favorite Christmas desserts?
Yeah, well, Christmas desserts. We touched on this in a podcast about a month ago where we were talking about banana cream pie, which I believe one of my favorite human beings on the planet is going to make sometime soon, and it's going to appear here. But my mom's pound cake, pecan pie. I love pecan pie.
Do you? Okay, with ice cream or without?
Probably without. Maybe just
really?
a little bit of whipped cream on it.
Heated up or cold?
Heated.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, these are little things you
I
quibble
will
over.
eat it either way, but I like it heated and where it's just melting on it just a little bit. Those are things. My wife makes a pretzel. I don't know what you want to call it. To call it a pretzel salad is not quite right, but it's some kind of marshmallowy, jello-y.
Oh, yes.
Pretzel
That's
salad.
a throwback.
You probably
That's
know what
delicious.
that is.
Strawberry?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
with
it.
whipped cream.
Yes.
Yes.
That's pretty darn good. And shortbread, I do love shortbread.
Okay.
I love shortbread and fudge. See, what I do is Lori, bless her soul, she will say, would you like X this year or X? Or I'm thinking about X. And see, what you women do, and I'm going to say, I'm just sorry, it's all of you. You all do this, is you feel the need to try new things.
We do.
See, I think I speak for Chris Shaver and myself and just about every man on the planet. We believe that once you have found a good thing, you stick with it. You stick with it. So we don't want to sit down at Christmas and you say, well, this year I decided to try a new recipe in my pound cake. We're going, but what was wrong with the old one? You see?
Okay.
So advice I would give to ladies who are watching, don't go changing your recipes unless they were terrible recipes and everybody hated them.
Okay.
But presumably they weren't because they become family staples. And so we arrive at as males, we arrive at the table with an expectation that what we had last year and the year before, and so they're going to be there because that's part of the tradition. I don't want new stuff. Don't do this to me. And anyway, but Laura usually says, hey, I'm thinking about, now I put in my request. I go, pecan pie, pound cake, honey baked ham, and on down the list. And I look forward to that.
So let me ask you this. When you are going through your meal request, because we do have a discussion, you're
it's
right.
Kind of like it's kind of like I'm on a plane and they submit the menu for you to check the boxes.
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, which is a very lovely thing when that happens versus being dished out, whatever that is.
100%.
Ooh. So here's the question, because we were discussing desserts. The kids obviously like the basics, ham. We've decided that not many people like turkey. We like ham. Mashed potatoes, split down. But Chris loves stuffing or dressing, whichever.
Yes, stuffing, stuffing, and lots of stuffing.
Lots of stuff. It has to be moist. It cannot be dry and crumbly. That's disgusting.
Zachary, my youngest son, Zachary, and I, we eat loads of stuffing.
The stuffing's delicious. And I'm going to tell you, this is a cheat, but stovetop with some extra onions and butter thrown in.
It's good.
So
stovetop stuffing is good.
Those are the things. I have one daughter who absolutely has to have green bean casserole with a lot of fried onions on the top.
I don't eat veggies, but that appears on our table.
That's on the table.
And see,
rolls.
Now I have daughters-in-law.
Yes.
Who also bring stuff.
Yes, and this is what we do. We bring things.
So the ladies all, listen, this show is very traditional on this show. We have a strict separation of roles.
Yes, this is true. And we're unashamed about it. Imagine that.
My wife being the matriarch here, she's, they're assigning who's bringing what. You're bringing this dessert. You're bringing this. You're bringing that, and we sit back waiting for it all to magically appear on the table.
Yes, you do. Well, and so here's the question. When you get down to dessert, after you have stuffed your face, and you gentlemen have taken a break or you haven't, I don't know. I mean, it just really depends on the year and what you're feeling and what's on TV and are there games on that you actually want to watch.
We play a lot of games.
That kind of thing. So, when you get down to dessert, after you have stuffed your face and you gentlemen have taken a break or you haven't, I don't know. I mean, it just really depends on the year and what you're feeling and what's on TV and are there games on that you actually want to watch. That kind of thing. So we come down to, is it going to be apple pie? I've decided that not as many people love pumpkin pie as I do. So I'll just make myself my own pumpkin pie because it's delicious. And my mom and grandmother and all my aunts make delicious pie.
Well,
banana cream
brain
pie.
slices.
Yes. We're not sad about any of these.
I'll render judgment.
But here's the thing. Do you just give yourself a piece of all of it? Like, do you do a piece of pecan pie? Would you also include the pound cake with it? Or would you? Yes. Okay. And then in the next day, would you toast that pound cake with butter for breakfast?
As
my mother-in-law's tradition?
Done that. That actually is a genius idea. I've never
I'm
done
going to
that.
let you know that it's amazing.
But I love dipping the pound cake into coffee.
Oh, no, I've not tried that.
Yeah, it's
kind of like a donut.
Yeah. Pound cake and coffee go.
Okay.
Well, I do it with a donut too. I mean, I'm not above it. But
no.
But,
who
but
is?
After Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's no donuts in the house. It's pound cake, and so
pound cake is so
like
good.
it.
Sour
Pound cake
cream
and
pound
coffee
cake.
are just perfect together. But see, I have a tradition because I'm an inventor of a sandwich.
What is the sandwich?
I'm an inventor. You didn't know this.
I don't. I mean, I'm waiting.
You didn't know this, but move over, Iron Chef. I am an inventor of a sandwich, and it's the post-Thanksgiving, post-Christmas sandwich. And I'm going to share it with you.
All right.
You take some... you take some ham or turkey, whichever is available.
Okay. All right.
And
I'm putting ham.
You place it on bread slathered in butter.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, is this a Sister Schubert roll, or is this one of those yeast rolls that your girls have made?
It's usually bread made out of our bread machine.
Okay.
Which
your wife makes great bread.
Great bread.
Okay.
So it's big,
pillowy
pieces of
bread. Yummy.
Pillowy.
Yes. Okay.
Love that. And you put your turkey or your ham on there.
Okay.
And then you put some stuffing on there.
Okay. I like this. I like where this is headed. Okay.
And now you have to kind of press it together because stuffing, tends to crumble up. So I would say make sure you stuff your stuffing.
Yes, sure.
And then you put some salt and pepper on top of that. Then you put some gravy left over on top of that.
Okay.
Then you put some cheese on top of that.
This is
good. And then
good.
you grill it.
Oh, no, that is fancy right there. It's like, stop right now.
I'm the inventor of this
Do you
sandwich.
mean
And
the grill, or do you mean George Foreman grill?
Well, either one would work, but I would say I just grill it.
Okay.
And it's really, really good. And some people would add, post grilling,
right?
They would open it up and add just a little bit of cranberry sauce.
I was wondering if you're going to throw some cranberry sauce in there.
Some cranberry sauce works in it. And that sandwich is famous in my family. And I invented it.
You know what? I think that because my husband is on call for Christmas this year, he's going to hear this and he's going to want that sandwich because he loves a good sandwich.
I want Chris Shaver's. I expect to receive a note.
Okay.
Handwritten.
Okay.
From Chris Shaver.
Absolutely.
With a Hobby Lobby gift card.
Okay. You know what? Because you love Hobby Lobby so much. In fact, we'll all go to dinner.
With a Hallmark Christmas
and Lori
movie
and I
DVD.
will just sit and talk, and you guys can go wander the aisles of Hobby Lobby and buy things because that's what you do. Here you see.
Yes, it's it's amazing some of the interesting things you find at a Hobby Lobby.
It's very true.
But I have to tell you that sandwich. Of course, my mom and Lori give me a hard time about that sandwich because they say none of the ingredients am I responsible for. I say that's irrelevant because did Ford invent the wheel? No, but he did give us. The American automobile. And he had the genius to recognize how all these things that other people had invented could be combined into a single thing that was better than the sum of its parts.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've done with this sandwich.
You know what? So on behalf of everyone, I say thank you. Thank you. Before we've even tried it, it sounds delicious.
It's awesome.
It might bring people to fisticuffs if they were to take this sandwich into work and put it into the fridge in the break room.
I think some people are going to dispense with their traditional Christmas dinners and just have my sandwich.
Well, they may. We may. You don't know.
And it should be called, by the way, the Larry sandwich. If I see this sandwich anywhere on social media or in a restaurant, I am suing.
Listen, you should.
You
should.
There's got to be a little. What would it be? A trademark or
Just
an
a little
R,
TM.
or would it be a C?
You remember the little flag that used to come in sandwiches at like restaurants?
That's right.
You know, so this one would be the Larry,
That's
and
right.
it would just go in there.
But it'd be an American
TM.
flag.
Obviously an American flag.
It needs to be an American flag.
As
My
the
flag,
teens say.
If you're playing a flag in my sandwich, it's going to be the Stars and Stripes.
America.
America.
That's why. Okay, so when we come back, we are going to talk about our
This
biggest.
is a Christmas show.
It is a Christmas show.
Full of inanity.
So we have dispensed with all of the food, all of the movies we can give you. But here we'll end perhaps on a serious note. Takeaways that we've learned this year. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. All right, Larry, in the break, you asked a really good question. So do you mind sharing that?
Well, here in this final segment, let's talk a little bit about, Christmas from a spiritual point of view. Your family, when you were a child, like my family, took Christmas seriously. And now that you're a mom, wife and mom, your family takes Christmas seriously, and you're a believer, and you were a believer, when you came straight out of the womb. What does it mean to you from the perspective first of as a child, and now as a wife and mother?
So as a child, the Christmas story was highlighted, and I was captivated by the Christmas story, just by the baby Jesus, because I think when you're a little girl, babies are fascinating. They just are. And so it meant that our family would get together and we would go to church together, and we'd go watch the singing Christmas tree in my grandparents' church in Ohio. They would have that living Christmas tree with the choir, and it was beautiful. And sometimes we would sing Handel's Messiah. Like, it was a beautiful reflection of Christmas as much as a child could understand. Now it means that I am getting together with my family. We are going to a candlelight service. We are going to worship because that's what this holiday is about, is worshiping our risen Lord. But it also, burns in my heart for my children to know and to carry on, to walk with the Lord, to learn the thing that I actually wrote and kept a note of it in my phone this year. This is what I want them to know, is the beauty of travailing prayer, and the beauty of, and it's a psalm, that the Lord God is my strength and he's my portion forever. This is what I want them to know. And that comes out of the hope of Christmas and of the birth of our Lord. These are the things, as we gather for candlelight service, as we gather for our meal, that I want them to know that they've been prayed for since we found out about them, that there is a beauty in travailing prayer before the Lord, because all is not right in this world. It's very broken. But in that, I also want them to know and always remember that the Lord is our portion and our strength forever.
Very practical question. I think a lot of wives and mothers find they would say a lot of the same things that you just said, or some version of it. But at the end of the day, they end up becoming extremely stressed.
Yes. Doing
that dinner, and then they've got all the kids coming, and and the husband finds himself retreating because mom is starting to get really, really amped because she has the kids coming in, and she's getting beds ready and rooms ready, and she wants everything perfect. And it can make the holidays just a little miserable, actually. How do you deal with that?
So I haven't always, as I've stressed before, a rotten sinner I am. I haven't always done this well, and I'm not sure that I still do. But I think there's a pressure on women. I don't know if it's because of Pinterest or social media, that we think this is the all-star holiday.
Yeah.
And we have to get it right. Our houses have to be perfect. They have to be clean. There can't be a drop of animal hair on the floor. No kid socks anywhere. Every bed has to be made. I mean, you're right. You feel this ridiculous pressure.
Yeah.
And it's not it at all when you reflect upon how our Savior entered the world in a very painful, smelly, dark, dank place. this is how it started out. And so I would advise, especially young moms, it does not have to be right. It is not going to be right. The holiday is about worshiping our Savior, so give yourself a break. Involve your children. So what if they set the table and all the knives and forks are wrong? So what if you have to ditch that and use paper plates? Who cares if you didn't put sugar in the pumpkin pie? Load it up with Cool Whip on top. I've done that before. Speaking from experience, give yourself a break and enjoy instead that your kids are going to be gone and that none of that's going to matter.
Well, and I also think that you can become a Martha, during that time where you're really missing the point.
Yes. Amen.
And that's not to say that, guys like me, listen, my job, as we were speaking of the division of duties, at Christmas, my job is to eat.
Yeah.
That's my, no, but seriously, I always want to kind of restrain Lori just a little, just every now and then say, this is supposed to be a fun holiday.
Yes.
She's wired
Chris has to do
probably,
the same
I think,
to me.
fairly similar as you. I always say that it's good women who are prone to being this way. And what I mean by that is that they're very conscientious. They're very duty driven. They're conscientious of responsibility and of trying to make everything perfect and happy. And sometimes it can go to a point where now people are feeling stressed and it's rippling out to everybody where no one is really enjoying themselves because it's feeling like, that episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where there has to be plastic on the couch before they can sit on it.
You're walking on eggshells.
Yes, and you're feeling like, wow, this is not what I want it to be. This is not what it should be. And so on the one hand, you appreciate those. I do. I appreciate those women in my life who over the years they make their home something really quite remarkable, and that manifests itself in their hospitality. It manifests itself in decoration. It manifests themselves in their attire. It manifests itself in the meals they serve. But if it's becoming a burden to your family, if your husband is staying in his man cave,
this is
it's a real
painfully
thing.
True. If the kids don't want to come down,
and the kids don't, if you want those kids to want to come back, when they're really independent, you need to make this a time that what people remember are, the great memories together as a family versus, good heavens, Mom would get so stressed. And then when so-and-so would show up late, she'd be angry, and she's determined that we have to have the family photo and we have to do this.
Yeah.
We have to do that, where it feels like a labor. And then go get your dad out of the man cave. We need to move the Christmas tree, or whatever.
You're just barking orders. It's
it
very wise.
It becomes miserable. And I think we want to encourage people, it is perhaps trite, but remember the reason for the season and enjoying your families. And I know for me, coming up, I was grateful for the fact that, my dad was a real rough and tumble, character. He was he was a career soldier, and buddy, he smacked of all of that. But my dad loved Christmas. It was a funny thing. And my dad he took great joy in giving his children gifts. And I would when I was a little boy, I would wake my parents up, I'm sure no later than 5 a.m.
Oh, my kids, we were the same way. Yes.
And my parents would get out of bed, would make coffee, and would come and gather around the Christmas tree and would roll with it.
Yes.
And then maybe they take a nap at
It's exactly what we do.
Or something. But they would roll with that. And, as a kid, I enjoyed that. And we would watch, something like, say, Jesus of Nazareth or something like that, which is a very powerful film because it's an attempt to sort of synthesize the Gospels. It contains just a little bit of them all. And now as an adult, I enjoy, yes, bringing a family together, but I enjoy seeing their own traditions starting to flourish. I like the fact that my children like each other.
Oh, isn't that a blessing?
Isn't it?
It's a huge blessing.
They do like each other. They're still a little juvenile in that they're grown up and they'll still smack each other, shoot each other with BB guns.
Absolutely. And why not?
But they do enjoy getting together, and there's a lot of games that are played, and it's a wonderful family time, and it's a time where we really take stock of the year, and we give thanks as we do at Thanksgiving. But we give thanks for here's what God has given us this year. Here, whatever it is that we've gone through, whether it's say after my accident or my daughter-in-law, she had open heart surgery. A young woman, a girl, really, having open heart surgery. We can find things to thank the Lord for.
That's right.
That we're grateful for, and that we're all gathered here in this moment, and we're enjoying not just material blessings, but the spiritual blessing of all being together. That's just fabulous. And for me, Christmas overshadows every other holiday.
Yeah.
It overshadows birthdays. It overshadows Thanksgiving. I mean, it is you called it. I don't remember what you just said, but you called it what'd you call the All-Star?
It's All-Star holiday.
It's All-Star holiday, but it's a holiday that we love the build up to.
Yes, we do.
We love all the movies. We love Lori maybe more than me, but the Christmas shopping. We love the festivities. We enjoy the parties. We enjoy getting together with friends and doing those kinds of things. And we at Fixed Point every year put on a Christmas party where we make the Christmas party about Christmas. We read Luke 2. We read it as a family on Christmas every year. We enjoy all the movies and everything, but we read Luke 2 at our party. And we, because often the Christmas parties, people feel,
yeah, they're dreary.
They're just going from one corporate party after another, which are often kind of awful because they're so secular and so gutted of meaning. In our Christmas party, we always hope people leave feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and ministered to. And that's what Christmas should be. Don't you think?
Amen. Absolutely. Well said. I love that. Refreshed, rejuvenated, and ministered to. I agree. I'm just soaking in your words right now. And I think this year, of all the years, just to reflect on, to take what you were saying about being thankful for all the things that God has done. I heard somebody say recently that, there's plenty that we can complain about, and there's plenty to talk about, but to remember specific things that the Lord has done helps when the hard times come,
yes.
Helps when you're scared, helps when you're at the end of the road and you think, I don't know where we're going to turn. And then remember what the Lord has done and what he will do again. But it all started with his son coming to earth in the form of a child.
An eternal life. I mean,
an
just
eternal life.
Just try pondering that.
I remember as a child standing on my back deck thinking, forever is a long time. Like, what?
Yeah, it is.
What is forever like? What does that mean? Like,
can't
comprehend it. And
can't wrap our brains around that.
But at Christmas, it's a time to pause and reflect and let that soak deeply into our soul as we head into the new year. But for now, I'm very thankful that it is the Christmas season, and I'm looking forward to all of the things. Into building new traditions, like you said. And
we wish shavers everywhere a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And we wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
God bless us. God bless us, everyone.
Okay, y'all. We hope that you have enjoyed our Christmas show.
Here comes Santa Claus.
Ranger's very excited. Ranger the dog is very excited about Christmas.
He's up in the break room right now.
But we wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful for the standing ovation, but there will be...